All right, everybody. It's just past 1 o'clock here, and we're appreciate everybody's attendance here at our seminar in the virtual user conference. Today, we're going to talk about leveraging data to make informed decisions, and that is we have our guest Rob Boyce from the West Virginia University Medical Center, and it's interesting as we started this company and doing this presentation remotely, and as opposed to face-to-face with everybody as we've done with our user conferences over the past years. But I say interesting, when we started the company, one of the taglines we came up with was better tools, better data, better decisions. And that was definitely a focus on how we can help facilities collect more information while they're out doing the preventive maintenance, when they're make it easy to get that data into the system. And we have multiple venues for that now, between data readings on procedures, meter readings on assets, the rounding tool, the clipboard tool, which Rob is going to talk about a little bit as well. But what I want to do is just a quick introduction on West Virginia and Rob here, and then turn the presentation over to Rob. He'll share his screen and be able to walk you through some of the things they found as they've implemented the analytics tool with Ruby Memorial Hospital at West Virginia, and implemented the rounding application there. So a little bit West Virginia. It's the largest private employer in the state of West Virginia. They're currently their footprint is 14 hospitals, and they're continuing to grow. They have an aggressive plan, and looking at possibly two hospitals per year, and expanding that footprint outside of the West Virginia area as well. Currently, they have some management services in hospitals that are located in Maryland and in Pennsylvania. Rob is located in, since we've been a vendor with the West Virginia University Medical Center, we've known Rob and worked with him greatly on the product and enhancements and reporting and features that we've had over time. And he's located at the Ruby Memorial Hospital. That's the main facility located right adjacent to the university itself. It's currently at 750 beds, 40 ORs. They just opened up a new tower a few years ago, 6.5 million square feet. They cover 60 remote facilities, and analytics gave some unique insights into those employees that are traveling in a 60-mile radius to handle those facilities as well. There's new construction going in place, so they just wrapped up the new tower, and no time to wait, and they start breaking ground and on a new children's hospital located right next to the existing facility. So the children's hospital is going to be a 10-story facility, $350 million construction budget, and plans to open next year. Some good renderings of that on their website as well. So at this point, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and as we have had these customer testimonials, we've called them in the past at the user conferences. I think Rob, you might have been the first customer testimonial at the inaugural user conference as well. So it's he's declined coming back speaking since then, but in the virtual environment, he's happy to do it. There.
Yeah, where people can't see me.
Yeah. So
cool,
let me stop the share, and I'll turn it over to you, Rob. Thank you.
Okay.
I forgot to mention it. Anytime, I mentioned it before everybody finished joining, but anytime throughout the presentation, you can click to raise your hand. I can allow you to talk, and we can answer questions. Or there is the Q&A panel. If you want to post a question in there, I can reread it, and if I can answer it, or Rob can answer it, or we have our sales executive Glenn on the phone as well. He can assist if need be with some questions. But feel free. We want to keep it an open dialogue, just like we have at the user conferences in the past. And and help answer any questions that you have along the way. So now I'm finally turned over to you. I feel like Joe Stockman. I like to keep talking.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Okay, hi, everyone. My name is Rob Boyce. I'm one of the facility operation managers here at WVU Medicine. I've been here 17 or so years. We've teamed up with FSI. It's probably been 9 years ago. I think we were fully implemented within 8 years. So on average, we get 34,000 service calls, 60,000 plus PMs, and trying to sift through all that data with work order searches and reporting is difficult. We don't have a dedicated CMMS coordinator, so it's up to managers and team leads to try to sift through all that information to try to get a little more efficient. Just since 2017, we've added over 1 million square feet of space without an additional new hire, so no techs to manage that. So we had to get real creative and trying to figure out ways to improve efficiency without holding our customers back any further. So when FSI offered the analytics package, we jumped at it because we knew there was definitely opportunities within our group to make some improvements. So the first goal when analytics came online was I wanted to offset the cost of implementation in the software with some sort of labor savings, just to show some sort of proof of concept to leadership. I know we had some low-hanging fruit with fire doors. Many years ago, previous leadership adjusted fire door PMs to do quarterly instead of the annual recommendation. Our fire doors take a beating. People in West Virginia figured out that doors open easier if you just crash through them. So we deal with a lot of broken doors. So with the analytics package, it was real easy to drill down. So I'll drill down real quick and show you just a brief what we did for the fire doors. So when I first pulled this up, I look at the last year comparison, and I just want to see how many doors that were failing. And on that list, it shows 124 of them have failed. So we drilled down that list, and we used CMS in conjunction with the analytics to actually do a deep dive on the work order search, and we came up with about 295 fire door PMs that we could eliminate quarterly. We could put them back to the annual. So ultimately that trimmed 885 annual PMs on us, which equated to about 30 grand in labor costs. So we were able to do that in the first week to offset the labor. And then that opened up the door for how many countless other PMs that we could actually use real data to drill down to and make decisions based on what's actually happened versus just a rough guess of frequency for the equipment. We still have a lot of opportunity. That was just the main hospital doors. So we have another hospital that we maintain and some other healthcare occupancies. So just fire doors alone would be very, very, let's see, 30, yeah. I have over 1,000 doors, so there's a lot of opportunity there. Another page that I didn't see much value in, but my team leads caught on to was customer satisfaction. I thought it was cool. We could see it was a lot easier than pulling reports on surveys. But my team leads got a hold of this, and they saw the ability to do some benchmarking and some performance improvement within themselves. So it really started a little friendly competition between the team leads. So they drove customer satisfaction. They look through the customer expectations, the workflow communication improvements, and they actually focused on work order escalations. They drove, you can see just in the past 4 weeks, we're up 10% on positive responses, and all of that was done directly with the team leads who manage zone maintenance. They did that all on their own without any input from management, so kudos to them. And the customer satisfaction page is really cool because you're able to drill down on specific trades, but you can also just drill down on the negative scores. So if you can see, you can start getting a feel of which customers or what areas are dissatisfied, and then you can start working with certain technicians or leads in those areas to try to improve those scores. Another page that's really helped us. So one problem that we've had is we've always strove to have a live CMMS system. We've rolled out iPads for the technicians to work in the field with the expectation of you do a job, you close a job, which in theory was easy to preach, but it was really difficult to enforce. So with the analytics, the productivity, this is a productivity labor charge page. We're able to drill down quickly and see what techs are a little behind on their labor charges. But another cool feature it shows is the average time of day that their labor is documented. So with the live system, we would expect, somewhat of an even disbursement of labor throughout the day. And if you drill down, you could see on average the time of day that this tech would have inputted his labor. So nice even disbursement. So one thing that we discovered, mainly with our ambulatory guys, so these are the guys that are traveling 60 plus miles to go to remote facilities, and they're falling behind on their work, and the preach was we need more guys. Well, we started looking at their data and their labor charges, and almost every one of the guys, all their labor was getting input at 1 p.m. and their stop time was 2:30. So if you add wheel time to that to get to their office, they were really quitting about 12:30. So that's 90 hours of unproductive time each week, and you bring that to their attention, and you quickly realize of how much work could get done. So the productivity is a great page just to keep track of labor and just ensuring that you're running a live system like you need. Load up the work nature page. So the work nature page will keep us on track of running productive versus reactive work, with the goal being I shoot for 70% proactive versus reactive. And here in 2020, like everybody, that didn't work. We've fallen behind just because of with the COVID changes. If I can get that to load. Sorry, too many windows open.
think you're being logged in for the period of time your session timed out.
Yeah, I had like 4 windows open. Uh-oh. I'll just close it all. Glad I got good tech support on the phone. That's working. That's better.
Good.
There we go. So you can see the productivity work nature. We're falling behind on the proactive work and increasing on the reactive work, and that's the only thing we're seeing in 2020. So 2020 is a bad year for trending data for us. I'm sure that's the case for everywhere else. Let's see, the one page that my team leads use for their managing their zone maintenance is a status board, which I'm a big fan of the status boards page. So my team leads are very busy. You know, they got thousands of work orders to schedule, and the last thing I wanted them to be was database guys trying to figure out how to run reports and keep organized. So this status board really helps keep them on point. So at a quick glance, it gives them pending work that needs scheduled, work orders that they have non-stock parts ordered that they can follow up with, work orders without needed by dates, work that's older than 180 days, work orders with needed date, overdue work, and they have a nice bar graph of where they need to be for the end of the month. And any one of these, they could quickly drill down and see, for instance, if they wanted to see all their work orders that have parts ordered. So they can keep track and make sure that the parts have been received, follow up with a storeroom, and get those parts issued back out to the technician so this work can get finished. And a quick glance at any work orders that are overdue, so they can get those scheduled. Fortunately, those are all vendor ones, so my guys are in the clear.
And the page that Rob's on now with the work order status board, this is one area that gets refreshed frequently throughout the day in terms of, we're talking about the analytics tool, real-time data compared to a lot of analytics on past data. Each night, the data warehouse that supports this dashboard gets refreshed with a snapshot of the current state of the work orders for the past couple of years, assets, PMs, information like that. But the status board here is pretty close to real-time information within a couple minutes of the current state of the CMS database.
Almost every morning, that's usually the go-to for my team leads for the quick glance of how we're doing. They make sure that there's no pending work they need to issue. Parts this year have been a nightmare. I'm sure other facilities have went through that as well. Stuff's just takes longer to get, so they've been really good at keeping track and checking those and calling manufacturers on their own to make sure the stuff's shipped and ordered. the work orders without a needed date, that's one thing I'm trying to change the culture on. The service calls and routines that the techs make. We need to get better at putting those needed by dates so that the techs in the field have a realistic date to hit for their work. But that's a work in progress. But all in all, this status board probably gets used more than anything in the analytics to manage the workflow. I'm going to jump to clipboard. I know I've been bouncing around analytics real quick, but I'm going to jump to clipboard real quick just to make sure we hit that. So clipboard, this is one of those things I never thought that I would end up using. For 30 years, this place, Ruby's used paper clipboard to do for the techs to do their operational rounds. So daily they'd go and check equipment, write readings down on a piece of paper. It would eventually get filed in a drawer, put in a box, and taken to a warehouse, never to be seen again. So we have all this useful data that's just going out the door, and nobody could do anything with it. And I've always wanted to convert those to an electronic format, but I struggled finding anything that wouldn't. I didn't want to lose any efficiency in that transition. We could have used CMS to solve it, but then you'd have multiple daily work orders, and then the techs would have to close those out. It was just a lot of work involved with it. So I think it was around March when FSI they offered a trial for the rounding application. I've never really used it before. I'm not directly involved with the EOC rounds, so I logged in, and Leroy, who works for FSI, has been great. He set up a daily smoke check because we converted some rooms for COVID, and just showed what the clipboard application could do. And once I started looking through that, it clicked. I saw an immediate opportunity. I'd say within 5 minutes of playing with the clipboard, I made a complete set of operational rounds for a large mechanical room, and I went and tried it out, and I was amazed. It was easy, it was quick, there was no delay. So I started rolling it out to a few of my techs. I started with the younger techie guys that the iPad's no big deal for. They blew through it. They didn't have a single negative thing to say. And then I transitioned it to the rest of the operational techs, and I waited for some sort of negative feedback of how it's not going to work and slows them down, and I got zero negative response from it, so I was thrilled. So over the next month, we started just rolling out building after building, and after tracking time of what it took an average tech to do paper set of rounds, guys were doing the electronic rounds, and they were finishing 15 to a half hour earlier than with the paper copies, because they didn't have to shuffle papers around. It was seamless. And the beauty of the clipboard, it's the simplicity is its genius. It's so easy. You can set it up exactly like the techs were used to seeing on their paper clipboard. So everything that they were familiar with, everything was in the same order. It was worded the same. The readings looked the same, and it just worked. And a nice, easy offset for the software. So we were spending $1,200 a month on just printing paper to do rounds, and then we'd have to deal with warehousing space and the travel to stock them. So we were able to eliminate all of that in the future. So I'll give you a quick show. So when the techs log in, this is what they'd see on the round. So I have it broke down by building, room, and then what shift they're on. So it's easy to identify. So whenever a tech goes to a room, they click that button, pulls up what readings they need to see or what they need to input, and what's great is they can time travel with the click of a button. They can see, well, what was the readings yesterday? What was the readings the day before? And since we've implemented this, we've been able to pinpoint equipment failures or just subtle changes that's going to lead up to a failure within a shift. We've caught some significant things that normally would have just got put in a file somewhere because the last guy didn't know the pressure changed 10 psi or et cetera. So this was a big hit for my guys. And as far as getting the data, we can pull any room. Let's pull a bigger room. That'll work. So now I can see, an entire month's worth of mechanical data that would have normally went out the door. So this was a great thing. And then the operations, the head operations team lead will review these and make sure there's no anomalies. Typically at the end of the month. But this program here has solved a lot of problems. And the setup it couldn't get any easier. I'll pull one up that we did. It's a smaller room. So simply give it a name, schedule inspection, what frequency you want. Do you want it hourly, daily, weekly, whatever team members you want to assign it to, and that list pulls from your CMS user list. And this procedure reading was easy. It was one question. You can link assets to it, so it'll pull if you pull the asset, it'll pull the building and location and room number automatically. The different response types. You can do custom type, which will enable.
Yeah, we had one question on that. If you can stay back on that response type.
Right here?
Back on editing that, yeah. So the response types are just like the procedure readings. You can hit that drop down to show the
Yep.
Decimal, integer, pass, fail, text, yes, no, repaired. And the custom type is, because we're really designed this for quick entry on an iPad or an iPhone. What it does is the custom type is just 3 different buttons, and you can have 1, 2, or 3 different buttons. You specify what the text of that button says to the person going out and doing the round, and it makes it simple to customize. We don't have the big drop-down list of choices, again, because it's meant for quick entry and a lot of repetitive tasks. So I think we answered Andrea's question, and then Christina had a question: what equipment is necessary for the clipboards and rounds? Ideally, that is a phone or tablet in the field. We have the app. The app is available, or you can just run it from the web page on any kind of mobile device as well. So if that answers your question, Christina, that the setup is the main thing, and you can tie these inspection points to a location or to a piece of equipment. And then there's some enhancements coming down in the roadmap that, just like procedure readings, we could cause emails or cause corrective work orders to be based on responses that are captured here.
Yeah, so here's an example, like this question. It's just a check of a small RO system for some sterilizers, and this is one of those custom blocks. So they don't have to type nothing. It's it's running, it's full. This is a pass-fail block, and a lot of them, even the custom, I do yes, no. It's great for auto offhand, that kind of thing.
And Mark,
there's also I forgot there's a notes field too, so the tech can leave a note for any reading.
We had a question from Mark Matthews. So Rob, how do your how do your technicians record their time that they're doing these rounds? There's not a time
So
component on here.
yes, there's not a direct tie with the CMS work order. So what we've done in the past with the paper rounds is every month I'd have just an operational rounds PM work order would get generated. So whatever building they were doing rounds in, they would just add their labor charge to that PM work order. So we keep that work order rolling, and now it just gets moved over to this electronic rounds.
Thank you.
And the techs know, since there's no direct tie yet, that it's the same as their paper rounds. If they find an issue, they note it in the rounds, and then they do a follow-up work order and follow up with the equipment. Let's see how many we're up to. So I'm at 6 buildings so far. So we're still expanding on the rounds. I still have parts of the northeast, our northeast tower, and it's mainly our boiler checks. But I'm hoping to be fully implemented with everything electronic by the end of this year. Should be doable. We've had some spots with Wi-Fi. We've expanded some Wi-Fi receivers in some mechanical space. That's really the only issue that we've had. The techs quickly adapt to it. They know where the spots are, and they just move to get a signal. But it gave us opportunity to expand the Wi-Fi into the mechanical areas. It needed to be there anyways.
And one more question came from Andrea Smith, that will a remedial work order be automatically assigned for any item that fails? So that's a roadmap item for an enhancement for the clipboard. It wasn't the customer that we developed the tool for wasn't immediate need of that application, but it is on the roadmap, and I can get some details on when that is scheduled. But there will be, just like with the procedure readings, if you're familiar with that, we have a concept of creating a corrective action from a procedure reading. We have the same concept here, but with some more enhancements to it, that based on a response, you can send an email, or based on a response, it could create a work order, or both actions could happen. So we do have some enhancements planned for the clipboard tool. As well as clipboard data probably funneling its way into the data warehouse and into the analytics tool then as well for trending that, especially whenever we have failures that we can capture.
Yeah, that was the biggest win for us. I mean, getting all this data electronic, so we could at least look at it is great. But our guys in the field finding significant issues before anything shut down or escalated. That's happened more since we've switched over with the electronic than it ever happened on paper. So that's when the techs really, my operations guys saw the value in it. They can sit there and review all the old readings at a push of a button without having to go back to a computer and run a report.
Have you seen anybody identify a trend over the time that it's been implemented now that a piece of equipment continues to trend in a certain direction where it's going to be indicative of a failure?
Oh yeah, so it's been most of those that they've come across has been pump failures. The most recent one just happened actually this week. We have an RO system that serves a lab over in our eye center building. Operation guy was doing rounds, and he was checking pressures, and he hasn't. It's been a while since he's been in that building. He just wanted to double check, and he started going back, and he was seeing a slow degrade on discharge pressure of the loop pump on that RO system, and he was able to flag that right away, and now the pump, it's still operational, and now we've got a new one ordered for backup. So that's the goal of being proactive. They're finding it now as opposed to showing up in the room and the pump's off, or the customer's calling that they don't have water. But it's almost weekly anymore that they're identifying things. And another big thing since all the COVID is going on, our air handler maintenance has dwindled. So because most of the units that serve the pandemic suites, we can't really shut off. So they've been using them to track the filter, the pre-filter and final filter differential pressures. So as those get above their change point, they're using the rounding software to flag so we can coordinate with all the nursing unit and get everyone masked up so we can shut that unit down just long enough to change filters in it. So that's been a big help too.
Maybe falls into analytics, the question that analysis or trend analysis for failures. And a little bit talks about how you identified the doors as an area of savings, but that is
let me go back to that.
A component of.
I was getting attacked when I was going over that. I had to lock my door. Let's see, that was asset failure. And that's always been my struggle is before analytics is adjusting PM frequencies, whether you're going by a manufacturer spec or an AEM program. I'm always hesitant to go on an AEM program without some good data backing it up, and to get that data, it's cumbersome. You'd have to really dive down on a lot of different assets and review failure for the past year. But with the failure analysis, it was easy. So I imagine every year I'll be doing the same thing for fire doors because we move departments habitually, and certain areas are busier than others. And again, so far I've only hit fire doors, so I can't imagine how far we could really drill down into this to find some labor savings. So I pulled up category. I just want to look at doors for right now, and again, I'm just focused on the main hospital, the biggest spend on doors. And over here, the current period. So now I'm looking at last 26 versus the previous 26 weeks, but I'm gonna pull it for a year. And then in this panel, it gives me a quick overview that out of the 453 doors, 124 of them had some sort of procedure failure, which would have generated a work order. So now I drilled down on that list, and some of the doors made sense. Those EDs take a beating, kitchens, materials, those doors I wasn't real surprised about. I knew I could adjust the frequency on other doors than the high use areas, but there were some areas that really surprised me, like level 10. It's just a regular patient care floor, nothing out of the ordinary there, and you see I have 21 failures out of all those doors. Let me click off that. But if I just highlight, and that's really all I did. I just highlighted and I pulled those asset numbers, and then I did a little bit of a deeper dive on the work order history for each of those assets to see that every year they're getting, or almost every quarter they're getting a failure. So doors like that I'd keep on the quarterly schedule, and then the doors that didn't meet that list were, you know, remote stair tower doors that nobody used, and we were checking those doors quarterly, so it was an easy win to adjust those. And with that, one thing I forgot to mention, so we're not only using this to adjust PM frequency, but we're also now gathering the data on which particular doors are failing, why they're failing, and we're drilling down to manufacturer. Is it a certain door manufacturer we're getting parts from? And we're working on a new fire door standard list through construction. So anytime they do a new construction project, they're using stuff that's less likely to fail. And also when we do replacements in-house for parts and everything, we've just really started gathering that information, but I'm hoping with stuff like that just drives door failures down even more, and it'll free up more maintenance.
That's a interesting perspective there. I remember we had another consultant that worked with you on initially you tried to do a project on like relamping with LEDs, and the cost savings on energy didn't pay for it. But once you're able to illustrate the time it takes in the PMs and the work orders associated with the changing light bulbs and in areas where you have to get a lift, and it was the labor is what really drove your payback there.
Yeah, that's the win. It's the repeat going back every time. And yeah, with that first run, I think we trimmed it was 9% of all of our service calls over a year, which, you know, you're 30,000 service calls. That's a good hit. And that's what we're trying to do back on the preventive side now. And it was never easy for us because, you know, we're running hospitals. You know, we're all busy. But with this information being able to just pushed right to you, if 2020 wasn't the way it has been, we'd have been a lot further with this. So, and I really can't wait to see how much further we can go, especially identifying other pieces of equipment and frequencies, and not just the main hospital, but, you know, 60 plus buildings. I thought we were, you know, did good at fire doors at $30,000 in labor cost, and I'm sure I'll be surprised in other places with other pieces of equipment, especially when there's not a compliance piece pushing it, and we can adjust alternative maintenance.
Are there any of the doors or areas that you've gone the opposite direction and increasing the inspection frequency, or you just
so we entertain that, and I did a good example. So like for the ED, our ED takes a beat, and I'm sure other people's as well. We had a patient, you know, that destroyed some doors, so I myself ordered doors and inspect them out and put nice new metal doors up, all the hardware that we would typically use, and a week later that same door got destroyed. So, you know, some of these doors we could increase, you know, probably to weekly and find issues almost every time. And there's not very many that are like that, but that's a good example. So now I'm on the opposite end of let's find the door and material that will work in this application that's, you know, bulletproof. And that's where I'm hoping, with the help of the construction team on our side, we can find products like that. So, you know, it's not what to do with any door. We see service calls on, you know, like we just built this tower. It opened in 2016, and we've seen a spike in broken hampers. You know, so we're identifying just poor manufactured equipment that's probably not put in the best application what we're using it for. And with construction's help writing those standards, as we identify stuff moving forward, it should help.
We're
I don't know if anyone breaks as many doors as we do. I think we got a record for it.
I'm sure that's common in healthcare, as in the hospitals we've walked through as well. It's high traffic areas and dietary and linen; those are all problem areas.
Yeah.
We're about 15 minutes in here. We've had a couple of questions from the attendees. Any additional questions or things I can pose to? Andre, Smith, another question. Does the analytic program show you service calls throughout the facility where it's not tied to a piece of equipment?
That's a good question. So let's see what that be. Trying to remember the page that shows the common problems and then that type of work. I think it's this one.
So those are your work order categories. You can filter there on the left-hand side. So right now you're looking at all the work order categories.
I could do a customer request. That should eliminate everything that should be everything that's a service call. There was another page. I think it was productivity. Maybe it was backlog. Don't look at my backlog. 15 days, Mike. Oh, I thought there was another tab there. That breaks down my service calls per the area. That's today. Yeah, that one I'm not 100% sure on. It's probably there, but I'm by far the analytics expert yet.
Sorry about that. My computer restarted on me, so I had to go to my laptop. So one of the screens that would be helpful for that is the productivity screen and then work volume.
Did you look at service levels?
The work volume is going to give you the breakdown of all the corrective, and then you can drill down.
Yeah, that's the one I
service
saw there.
calls.
There's the
Drill
common
down
problems.
on any of the problem codes there as well. And you see everything that is being displayed on the left hand or on the visualizations on the screen. If you click on anything like service call is highlighted now, all the other charts, all the other data now becomes filtered to be just the service calls.
Which that visualization, that's a hard one to say, Mike.
Yeah.
That one helps for the service call. So that helps keep on point with I'm not receiving way more than I'm doing. So that's that's a good trend that we're following.
Then you can drill down on any of those, like the too hot, too cold. You can drill down on that further.
Common problems. Yep.
We had one question there to Rob. This will go to nobody's asked this one. Not sure if this was asked, but how did you get upper management to approve CMS analytics? Was there a noticeable cost savings that triggered purchasing it?
So
Glenn demoed it and you wanted it. But you had
yeah, so yeah, we've played with analytics before before it was a real product from SSI. So the easy answer is I just bet my paycheck on it. I didn't ask, I just bought it. Hence my quick goal of offsetting the cost within the first month. That's the real answer. I'm not sure you should follow that advice, but that's what we did. It was a safe bet. I knew we could easily show efficiency.
Good. Other questions or Glenn also our sample database has a analytics enabled with it. And if anybody wants to spend a little bit more time drilling down into some of the details or functionality, Glenn is available for that, and we can coordinate that with our sales team. But I thought it's always good to hear from somebody in real world use. We did a lot of customer focus with a team that helped us drive what were the primary things that we wanted to be able to display in an analytics tool. There are a lot of new features coming with that around load balancing and forecasting, and the artificial intelligence being implemented to help become predictive in some nature there as well. So it's a lot of excitement coming with this tool and our partner in SOA that we've worked with to roll this out. Matthias has another seminar coming up in our user conference regarding the standardization and having good procedures, having a library of procedures that are tied to compliance and regulation, and all those things, like I talked about at the beginning, where we set out about getting the data that you need to manage the facility. All of those procedures or things are tied to capturing that and being able to use your system as a management tool and drive off of that. But other questions? We're nearing the end of the hour. I say I definitely, as Rob has mentioned a couple of times, 2020 has been a heck of a weird year. I'd like to thank you for your time and join us for the virtual conference, and hopefully you're able to attend some more of the sessions to find out where we're going with the development of some of the new tools and applications within facility survey, and partners like we have here with SOA on the analytics package and with the procedures. So that's definitely throughout the history of the company, and Joe Serwinski and Joe Stockman and I that have dealt with the customers greatly. It's been very very important for us to reiterate that all the enhancements, everything that we do develop, a lot of it comes from understanding what the customers need and you vocalizing to Angie and our support team, what functions that you need to help improve your processes. So that please continue to send those, and assure you we do look at those enhancements and requests that come in and help build the application from that. Give another second for any other questions that want to come in, but I, again, appreciate the time from everybody and all the work that we're doing in our hospitals and universities to keep people safe right now. It's don't get especially in the facility side, probably don't get the recognition that you deserve and what's involved in maintaining those negative pressure suites and keeping the environment safe for everybody. Well, I think with that, I'll wrap it up. And again, appreciate everybody's attendance. Any questions on that, feel free to reach out to myself or anybody in the FSI team. We can get more information or clarify any questions you have. And again, appreciate your attendance and enjoy it's almost the weekend here. Enjoy the weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.